I'd like to welcome everyone this morning, and we have half a dozen topics to cover today. And I'd like to start with Vickie Shurelds from the Cheryl Allen Center and Tommy Vaugh for an announcement about the program that's coming up. Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I'm Vickie Shurelds with the Cheryl Allen Center, and of course, we've been doing a lot of activities, and we're really proud to be continuing that. As this week, we are welcoming a group called the Cleo Vaughn Sports Group, who have kind of adopted us and taken us on as part of their group that is really all across the country. And so I'd like to introduce you to Tommy Vaugh. Those of you that know Cleo Vaughn, who was the first athletic director at the Cheryl Allen Center back in the 50s. This is one of his sons, and I'm very proud to introduce you to them. So this is Tommy Vaugh.
Thank you guys. Good to be here. Also, just in case some of you, if you don't know, my father, Cleo Vaugh, he was born here, raised here, played ball at Lima Central, and actually was Ohio State's first African-American varsity basketball player to start, score a point, everything. So he went through so much, but what he did, he reversed the roles and started helping communities and kids. And he did it for over 30 years by giving free basketball camps, things of that nature. So he passed in the summer of 2010. So I incorporated the Cleo Vaughn Sports Group, which is an honor to him because he dedicated the last 30 years of his life to the elderly and to helping young people through basketball camps, mentoring. And I live in Delaware, Newark, Delaware, about 15 miles south of Philadelphia, and also coach college basketball, and I'm a high school interventionist. So what we do, we travel around. I give camps everywhere that I can give. So we have a big week plan. We're giving a camp now. My staff is over there with kids now at the Cheryl Allen Center with Vickie. Her and I, we've partnered to do some things in the community for the kids. Because as we know, our community and our kids, especially our African-American kids, we're lacking things that we need to have them prepare themselves. So one of our slogans is, we prepare youth today for success tomorrow. And what we do is we try to use different types of programs, mentoring, sports, things that kids like, to lure them in, to tell them things about education and other things. So what we have going on this week is a week-long basketball camp. We have giveaways, basketball games. They're learning from college coaches, high school coaches, which is about a staff of about 4. We have speakers come in telling them about different things, not just basketball coaches. We have lawyers, doctors, teachers, officers, everybody that's successful in the community and being productive citizens, because that's what we want our kids to be, productive citizens in society, because our youth is in trouble. I mean, that's the only way I can say it. So we have a speaker coming in from Atlanta, Georgia. His name is Cheryl Rose of New Order, and they will be here July 4th, speaking at 1 o'clock at the Cheryl Allen Center. He's a national activist for the community and a voice for the people. He's originally from Toledo, Ohio, but he lives in Atlanta. I think he has 8 or 9 chapters nationwide, and he's going to come and he's going to speak to us about our community sticking together, helping out, because that's what we need. So, and with the Cheryl Allen Center, they're hosting. We got here on Friday, and we just cleaned out poison ivy. We painted the backboards. We got the graffiti off a couple of the rims, which wasn't a whole lot, but the biggest thing was just getting it prepared for the kids, not only for camp, but going forward for them to go out there and play and have them, because they're doing great things at the Cheryl Allen Center, I think, and with the people they have, such as Vickie. We just have to keep it going and believe in our kids. So that's basically what we're doing out here this weekend. And once we leave here, we have a trip set up to Ohio State, which is annual, and they just lay out the red carpet for us. We go there, it's July 17th to the 20th, and it's just a big tour. We give a tour of a classroom, tour of athletic centers, the Ohio Stadium, classroom, and we work out and play basketball. So actually I lured a lot of kids through basketball, but we're actually going to go down and we're going to do some classwork and stuff like that, which we do every year. And when I say classwork, just sit in the class, a big university classroom and things of that nature to open the eyes to some of our kids. And the funny story is that I had a young lady. She was just she had the potential, but she was just not doing what she's supposed to do. I took her to Ohio State from Delaware, Philadelphia. I took her to Ohio State last year through our tour. She had a 3.2 this year, made second team all conference, and she's just a sophomore. She'll be a junior next year. So can't get them all, but you can get one or two here and there, and that's what it's about. So thank you for your time. I'm glad to be here. I was born here. Haven't been here in a long time, but I'm here now, and this is where I was born. So, and I tell people that. This is where I'm from. This is where I was born. And we have been here before giving a camp, and we got great coverage. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. And if you get a chance, come out to the Cheryl Allen Center. We got a small group. It's intimate group. We probably have about 15, but there's other programs going on down there. So if you get a chance, feel free to stop through. I welcome that. All right, thank you.
So your dad was in school at Ohio State when?
1954. He graduated from Lima Central, 1953. He was also class president, and that was 93% white school, high school. So I tell you the type of person he was.
Right.
1953 graduated. Of course, back then that day, they couldn't play varsity as a freshman, so we had to play on the freshman team, which they collided with the varsity a lot of times. And he went with, it was Robin Freeman, Cleo Vaughn, another guy, but he transferred to Xavier. So in 1954, my father became a starter. Very first game, he became a starter, had a great game. But, you know, 1954, you go to Iowa, you get hit with a bottle and got to sleep in the basement, but he had great teammates. His teammates came up and ate with him in the basement, or in the, I would say not the basement, but, you know, they would come eat with him in his room that was like the basement, you know, but he said he had great teammates. Ron Bell actually came to the funeral, and he was the guard at Lima Central at the time that my father played. And he would just tell me stories. I'm at the Cheryl Allen Center, and guys that I'd never met, they're like, oh, you look like Cleo. And yeah, that's my dad. That's my dad. And my brothers are here, and I don't get to see them a lot, so all three of us are there. I'm the little guy. I'm 6'2". I'm the run. I'm the run. So we got my brother that's 6'6", played at Siena Heights for Ben Braun. My younger brother was Player of the Year in Toledo, Ohio, offense and defense in 3 sports back in 1986. Could have went to Clemson, but Proposition 48, I think, came out where they start SAT scores, which I think is kids need to be tested for college, because all of us not college bound, you know, but we are capable bounds. But so that's basically in a nutshell. My brothers are here. I have my executive director here. We have Gerald Rose coming in. It's going to be awesome. But like I said, getting off track, 1954 is when he played varsity out there. And this year against Purdue, they honored him, put him on the program, the Purdue program. It was February. It was Black History Month. So they called me from Ohio State, Dave Eaglehall, head of basketball operations at Ohio State. Even the president at the time, he was the intern president. He called me, wrote me a beautiful email, then actually called me. And it was just heartwarming, and stuff like that just keeps me going. And I'm doing it for him, and that's it.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. All right?
Thank you. Good luck with your program
Thank
this
you.
week. Great hometown pride.
Yes.
We appreciate that. Thank you. Want to now ask Judge Reed and Ed Monfort and Chief Martin to come up. On Monday, the judge had asked that a number of us go to Columbus with him, and we attended the judicial symposium convened by the Ohio State Supreme Court, focused on heroin epidemic that's taking place in Ohio. So we'd like to have the judge talk about that, and Ed talk about our local drug court, and also the chief to comment on the importance of this kind of outreach and education. So, Chief or Judge?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank all of you for lending an ear and a videotape and a print to what our message is. We did have, as the mayor indicated, a unique opportunity. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, along with the governor, decided about 4 to 6 months ago to have a symposium, and it was called the Judicial Symposium on Opiate Addiction in Ohio. And this is a concerted effort by the Supreme Court and the governor to address the statewide problem that we have in Ohio with opiate addictions, and specifically heroin abuse and addiction. The idea of the symposium was that each county would be represented with a judge, and the judge was to compile a team of community people that could help the communities, individual communities, address the problem in their own communities. The team members were to include people from law enforcement, people from administration, treatment providers, probation officers. So we compiled a team about, I think we had about 10 people that went down. My probation office was there. Coleman Behavioral Services was represented. My drug court, police department, the chief was good enough to come, and the mayor. It was an honor to have the mayor there. I don't know if any other counties had the mayor of the biggest city in the county there, but that was important to us. The symposium was basically, for me, it really didn't give a whole lot of new information, but it was information given to me that I've already heard, but in a good way to hear it again. And this is the kind of information that, again, I'm proud and happy to be here at a press conference, because this is information that this entire county and community needs to hear. It surprises me that a lot of individuals you would think are living under a rock if they don't understand that we are being bombarded. We are in a war, so to speak, and I'm not trying to make light of it and say it's a war on drugs, but we are bombarded with a heroin epidemic in the state of Ohio and in Allen County. And heroin is the main culprit, but any of the opiate drugs, prescription drug abuse, our community is being bombarded, and the criminal justice system that I'm a part of is being bombarded, and law enforcement is being bombarded. It is taking over, and it's not particularly any one socioeconomic group or one racial group. It is everybody is involved. Everyone in this room, family members, friends, could fall prey to this. It is just, there are deaths in Allen County because of heroin addiction and opiate addictions. For about 12 years, I've had a drug court, and the drug court program, briefly, is just a unique way that judicial systems can handle the problem. And we've been handling it, like I say, for 12 years, not necessarily just a heroin problem, because that's only really become a major issue in the last couple of years. But the drug court system is a unique way where we handle drug abuse criminal cases, where we provide very intense supervision for individuals who find themselves in the criminal justice system because of substance abuse issues, alcoholism, drug abuse, all of the drugs. And we've been doing that for 12 years. So, but the heroin epidemic, as I'll call it, has presented a new problem because of the nature of the addiction to heroin and the problems that it's causing and the strength of the addiction. So it was important that we, and I believe the Chief Justice and the Governor felt it was important to have this symposium to involve community-wide, to try to formulate a plan that communities can take, individual communities, because while the heroin epidemic is statewide, each community faces its own unique problems, because each community has its own unique populations of people, or the socioeconomic issues in each community is different. We're not a big city, we're not a rural community, we're kind of in between, but we have the same problems. So it's important that this is a concerted effort, not only of the courts and the treatment providers and probation departments and law enforcement and administrations, both city and county. No one entity can do this alone, and no one all of us up here can't do it all by ourselves. It's going to take a community action. And I guess part of the reason I was happy to be here, I think it's time to start making educating the public about this problem and the terrible grip that opiates and heroin can get on people. And I get involved with them when they happen to commit crimes because of their addiction. Obviously, law enforcement and treatment can get involved even if the courts don't get involved. So the symposium, there were 83 counties. Of the 88 counties were there. There was over 900 people at the symposium. We heard from treatment professionals, law enforcement professionals, different courts around the state and how they're addressing the problems. So it gave us a lot of ideas. But I think what I took out of it, again, a lot of the information I had heard before, but a lot of what I took out of this is it's time now for the Lima Allen County community to get together and figure this out. And it's just not the folks that are standing up here, but it's going to take the hospitals, the schools, the business people, the different businesses, and every community group in here to put forth this effort, because this, I've been around the criminal justice system now for over 30 years, and I lived through the late 80s and the 90s when crack cocaine came to town, and I thought that was terrible, and it is terrible, and it's still around, but I have never seen anything like this heroin problem. And it's more far-reaching, in my view, in the court's view, it's more far-reaching than crack cocaine was. And we still have crack cocaine, we still have marijuana, we still have alcoholism to combat. And what we're doing at the courts is like programs like the drug court and reentry court. We're trying to do what we can do, but we can't do it by ourselves, and the chief and police department can't do it by themselves. We've been fortunate to have the Coleman Behavioral Services here in town that have just dedicated time, money, and personnel. Our local Mental Health and Recovery Services Board has donated time and money to try to address this, but I think I'm using this forum just to get the message out that the community needs to be aware of this, and we can't have our heads in the sand anymore, because our citizens are dying. So appreciate that. I'll turn it over. Ed can tell you a little more about our drug court program and some of the treatment issues that we have.
Thanks, Judge. I was very lucky to be able to compile this group of people that went on Monday, and it was amazing to watch the different counties, how everyone sat together, and I think it was finally like, okay, it's just not your problem, and it's not my problem, it's not the judge, it's all our problem, it's a community issue. Well, one of the things that we were inundated with was what's best practices, how are we dealing with some of this stuff? And I don't know if I could have heard any more about drug courts than we did. I mean, it was like, if you don't have a drug court, things just don't seem to be working the way they should. Well, we've been ahead of the curve. We've been doing this since 2001. Since 2001, we've had 405 individuals that have come into our court. Currently, we have 45 that are on our dock. That's a heck of a lot of load right now. And I have 3 that are petitioning to get into the drug court. What drug court is, it takes offenders whose cases are drug-driven. It may be a forgery, it may be a breaking and entering, it may be, or it may be drug possession, but they all are drug-driven. Nonviolent individuals, they come into the court because those are the people we don't want to send to prison. If we send those people to prison, when they come back out, they're a lot worse than when they went in. So these are the people that we're trying to reach. Of the 405, and remember, I already told you that we have 45 that are in, so basically 360 people. Oh, I knocked something over? Okay, good. Okay, sorry about that. I'll reach back here. We've had 194 people who have successfully graduated our program. Of those 194, 38 have reoffended. By reoffended, I'm talking about any misdemeanor offenses. I'm talking about a DUI, driving during suspension, anything. That's 38 of 94. 14 have reoffended with felony convictions. Now, if you look at that, that's an 81% success rate when it comes to any offense. 81%. That's pretty good. And when it comes to felony, it's 93% success rate. And I'm not just talking about 1 year. I have gone back year after year after year and looked at all those folks in the criminal justice system. So I'm going back to 2001. Last year, and we have a dedicated officer from probation who is probably the hardest working person I've ever met in my life. She is the toughest, most compassionate person I've ever met. She'll do anything for you, but she will hold you definitely accountable. She conducted 5,160 drug screens. And I haven't got the statistics for this year yet. This is from January 1st of last year to August the 8th of last year. We had 68 positive tests out of 5,160. That's a 1.3% positive test. Because of the tremendous, and the reason that comes is because of the tremendous amount of treatment that is available. We throw wraparound treatment to these people. They're going to all kinds of groups. They are dropping on a routine, random basis. They are seeing their probation officer so many times. There are so many eyes on these people. That helps them get through till they finally start obtaining recovery capital, meaning people in their community, meaning going to support meetings, meeting a job, getting their family back. Those kind of things. It's incredibly important. And Judge did mention the fact that we have, not only do we have a drug court, we have a mental health court. Specialty courts are hugely important because we're able to throw all kinds of resources around these people. And today, I believe today is Judge Cheney's first reentry court, which is taking people who've been in confinement in some capacity and put them into another specialized court, which is also going to give them wraparound services. Because let's face it, you get somebody out of prison and you send them back home, back in the same environment where they were, and you don't hold them accountable, what happens? They go back. Our point is to be able to make sure these people don't go back. Also, one of the things that is encouraging in the heroin epidemic, and one of the things that one of the doctors said is the greatest thing we have to do, we have to keep them alive. That's our biggest goal, is to keep these people alive. Now, if we can keep them alive, and we can get them clean for a while, the likelihood or the possibility of survival and recovery is good. So we have what is known as medication-assisted treatment, which means, and I'm sure everybody's heard of methadone, methadone clinics. Well, we also have, there's several other drugs that are out there. One is Suboxone, which works somewhat like methadone. The other one is called Vivitrol, which is actually produced in the state of Ohio, in Willard, Ohio, which actually you can get as an injection, and people do not have the craving to use. Coupled with treatment, which you still have to have treatment, the statistics are much better for people who are heroin addicted to be able to recover if they're on medication-assisted treatment. So, and we have that. We have that here in Lima. We have it in Allen County. I just had a woman up there this morning says, "You have it now? We have it here." Yeah, we have it here. Coleman does it. I think Health Partners is starting to do it here in Allen County. But we are attacking this problem. The Mental Health and Recovery Services Board is attempting to give as much resources as it can to be able to assist this, because this is an epidemic that isn't going to go away. As the judge said, I was a police officer back in the days of crack cocaine, and I thought that was about as bad as it got. We're not touching what crack cocaine was. Heroin is much more pervasive, and it continues to eat up a different socioeconomic group than we've had before. So we need to attack it as vigorously as we can. And if anybody wants to know these statistics, I'll have some back here. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief?
Well, I will just say that there are a couple of things that I took away from the symposium. The first one was, again, and this is something I guess that I knew already, but it was good still to be reminded of it, that, again, this is not just a law enforcement problem. Really, there has to be a pronged approach to this. The first one is prevention and education. And again, I'm very encouraged with efforts by the Cheryl Allen Center and other groups within our community, to reach young people before they ever get caught up into these bad lifestyles, before they ever try taking their first drug or even for that matter the first drink of alcohol, and that they learn that there are positive alternatives out there. And I think that is certainly an important aspect that this community needs to be focused on. But then also there is enforcement and treatment for those who make bad choices and decide to get into this lifestyle. And I will not make any apologies for the enforcement efforts that the Lima Police Department takes. We are doing the right thing by being out there and enforcing the laws. But one of the biggest advantages or benefits to society with the enforcement is oftentimes that is the key element to make somebody realize that they need help, that they need to start making better choices. And one of the other things I took away, the second big thing I took away the other day was I learned about a 30-40-30 concept for people suffering from addictions, and this includes opiate addictions. And that is that roughly 30% of the people that are addicted to opiates say it's no big deal, I can handle it. It's not a problem. You have 40% of the people in that situation that say, I have a problem, but you know what, I don't think it's so bad that I need to do something about it. And then you have another 30% that have said, okay, it's a problem and I need help. And oftentimes our taking enforcement action can be the factor that moves somebody from that 40% group into the next 30% group where they realize they need help. And that's why I greatly applaud Judge Reed, Ed Monfort, and their efforts through the drug court. Because again, when those people come before them needing help and willing to accept help, and in fact, I'm sure in many cases pleading for help, they have somewhere, or they have someone, I should say, that will actually direct them to the help that they need and will provide them the support. And in fact, I think probably more importantly, Judge Reed provides the accountability to those people that are wanting the help and are wanting to change the way that they've been doing things. And by providing that accountability as they go through their treatment, I think it makes it even more effective. And what we need to do now as a community is look at how can we expand on these efforts? How can we make things work even better? Maybe even intervene with people at a much earlier stage. So those are things that we are going to be looking at as a group, and I greatly appreciate the fact that I was invited to be part of this, and I certainly look forward to continuing being a part of finding new solutions.
Thank you very much. I should just a couple things I'll mention. The first really is the thought that what's driving this originally is really malpractice in medicine. We have people who are being given pain relievers by doctors, and they're becoming hooked. And once those medications are no longer available to them by prescription, is when they're reaching out and finding heroin as a substitute. So this, I think part of the community education that needs to take place is that all of us as consumers of health care, those of us that are employers with our health programs, but employees who are under the various health benefit plans that we have to begin questioning the amount of medication we're being given for pain relief. That's a responsibility we have both to manage our health plans, and then as consumers, after operations and other kinds of things, we must really be careful about the opiates that we're being given for pain relief. Legitimate pain relief, but that is what is stimulating this. And they showed in the data and a number of the informational pieces that they had, the escalation in the amount of pain relievers that are being given and the resulting addictions, which are leading to then the consumption of heroin as a substitute. The second thing I'll just mention is that we are going to get copies of the they videotaped the entire day. And there are at least 3 segments that will be replaying on GTV. 2 of those segments are physicians, one of whom is a set of comments on the overall, what is addiction and the pathology that's involved in the human body and the brain science that's involved. The second doctor commented on the medically assisted treatments that are available, and there too, I think all of us, the employers in our community, need to be asking whether our health plans are covering that and taking whatever steps that are necessary to make sure that that's available. And then the third, I think, was a panel of judges from throughout the state, including a new drug court that got set up in Hardin County, very much a part of our community in our region. It just got off the ground, and they're doing a fast start to the whole process. And I think our community needs to be aware that that is the solution, drug courts as well as the community education piece. So we're going to get that as soon as possible and have that up on GTV for the community to pay attention to. So, gentlemen, thank you, and Judge, thank you for having me in attendance. Josh Unterbrink is here from Activate Allen County, along with Norm Cox, a consultant, transportation consultant that has been working with Activate. Come on up, and I know they've been working on a transportation plan, and I think they have an announcement about that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, today is an exciting day for Allen County as we are proud to release the Allen County Active Transportation Plan. This is an important step towards bringing public health issues to the forefront of community planning here in Allen County. We know that simple steps such as including paths, bike lanes, sidewalks in our public transportation planning can help make our healthy choices the easy choices and increase the amount of time that our residents are being active. We also know that it has major economic impacts on communities. Communities that do this are seen as visionary and livable and things the next generation of employers and employees are looking for. Knowing the importance of having a plan for Allen County, about 2 years ago, Jerry Courtney, the CEO of the Lima Family YMCA, and Tom Mazur, Director of Regional Planning Commission, started planning work and collecting some data to create the plan. Funding was made available through the CDC's Small Communities Transformation Grant, and so through Activate Allen County, we began by putting together a team, a technical advisory group for Allen County to lead this transportation effort to make transportation easier, safer for both pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists alike. So at this moment, I'd like to just thank all of our technical advisory group members. We call it our TAG group. We'll start off with Tom Mazur, Beth Clark, Brian Rhodes, Kevin Haver, Sean Chapman, Jamie Mahaffey, Kirk Niemeyer, Monica Harnish, Greg Berquist, and Rick Stolley. They were all instrumental in putting this plan together. The first task for the technical advisory group was to hire a consultant to lead the coordination of building of the plan and the construction of the plan. The Greenway Collaborative and Norm Cox and his team were selected out of a competitive bid process, and they have worked closely with our technical advisory group as well as our Allen County Bike and Pedestrian Task Force to collect data, get public input, review best practices, review upcoming projects, and much more. So over the past 11 months, the Greenway Collaborative has worked to get to this point where we're at today. So now the plan actually officially becomes the property of Allen County. We have made it available to all members of our community and to the rest of the world on our website. You can review the plan at activateallencounty.com under our Healthy Communities tab, under our Active Transportation section. And the interactive plan actually allows us to continue to make changes and improve the plan as we move forward, because We wanted a living, breathing document that didn't pigeonhole us into any one area. So we have a really living document that now we can continue to grow and improve and make work for Allen County. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Norm Cox from the Greenway Collaborative to give a plan overview for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Good morning. I'd like to start to say that our job as a consultant is really that of a facilitator. We're here to give kind of a forum to the ideas and the visions that the people in the community express. And I can't say how much we appreciate our technical advisory group. They were phenomenal to work with, put in a lot of hours working with us, helping to refine it. All the people filled out surveys online, responded to the online maps, showed up to the workshops. These are the people that kind of put form to the idea. And we were just trying to give it a little bit of form. Now, this is an active transportation plan. It really has two components. One is the physical infrastructure improvements. The second are the supporting policies and programs. Now, with the physical infrastructure, one thing we've all learned about kind of improving health and getting people more active, it's not the gym membership. It is integrating walking and bicycling in your everyday activities. So a strong component of this is the little things in the cities and villages around the county where it's now easier and safer to get across the street because you don't have to go a quarter mile to the signal. We'll get a safe way to get across in the middle of the block. Simple ways where we could, at very minimal cost, integrate bike lanes and bike routes through local areas to kind of make, as Josh noted, the easy choice, the healthy choice, to kind of make this a natural, comfortable, safe element. The policies and programs, well, we've all been getting into our cars for 50 years for just about everything, to go down to the corner store, or it just becomes part of our habit. The policies and the programs are all about helping open our eyes, break some of those things, and realize that actually it may be better for you, more enjoyable for you, and more convenient to walk or bike some of these trips where it makes sense to you. So we have a whole calendar of very targeted events throughout the year, different geographic areas, different target groups, and then worked talking to people in each of the different communities, programs from a city standpoint, or village standpoint, a county standpoint. What are the little things as far as the daily business and how we go about things that can support those types of activities? So together, the opportunities in the physical infrastructure and then the policies and programs, kind of the encouragement to use things. We expect to see a number of different benefits. Really, we see reduced healthcare costs from the increased physical activity. A big aspect is reducing the traffic injuries by making this a safer. We have some of the highest rates of bicycle and pedestrian crashes in the state here. And we have an ability to drastically reduce this. We're using what are known as like proven safety countermeasures that reduce crashes. We also will be reducing water, air, and noise pollution. And we're also looking, as we do these elements, not just to solve the problem, but to solve the problem with some grace. That as we make these pedestrian and bicycle infrastructures, it's adding to the dynamic and the character of the community, making it more of a place that people want to come, locate a business, visit, and it makes it a more attractive community because time after time we're seeing these are the types of amenities that people are looking for in communities. And really, if we boil it all down to, we're trying to provide independent, dignified travel options for people of all ages and all physical abilities to get around this community. So thank you. This has been a pleasure of a community to work with, and we were honored to be selected for the project.
And I would like to close with the fact that we are offering our services to do educational sessions or presentations about the plan to educate any businesses, community organizations, or service groups. And if anyone is interested in scheduling one of those, they can contact myself at Activate Allen County at junterbrink@activateallencounty.com or at 419-303-3387 or 419-221-5035. Thank you.
And you say that the plan is actually up on the website for Activate Allen County, and so folks can get a preliminary look at it and then invite you out for presentations. Absolutely. All right, very good. Thank you. Lastly, Gary Shealy, Utilities Director, is here to talk about the recommendation the administration is making to Lima City Council concerning the next garbage and refuse contract for the city. And we have gone through a very competitive process with a number of vendors to make this recommendation. There's a number of features about this that I think are unique, including its cost. And Gary, why don't you provide some of the particulars?
Thanks, Mayor. I will say that over the last 6 months, we've been very much engaged in bidding for our garbage and refuse services. We had interest from 6 companies, of which 4 companies actually submitted bids. The pricing structure we looked at was a competitive bid, a 5-year contract or a 7-year contract. And we specify a certain type of vehicle for our service in Lima. It is a vehicle that handles an automated service very well. It's the containers we provide to the resident, as well as we allow the bulk materials to also be at the curb for pickup. And the trucks we order, basically, or the trucks that are ordered, basically can handle that process very well. Over the last number of years, these trucks have really proven themselves to be very, very efficient on the street. It keeps down some of the residents' concerns of blowout, material being left on the street and so forth like that. So we feel very honored. The parent low at this point in time that we are recommending is Allen County Refuse. Their charges, when you compile the cost we pay for the service, would be $14.76 per month per unit. This is compared to our current provider in Allied Waste Systems. They are presently at $14.96 per unit. So it's a very competitive process. There was approximately $3 difference between Allen County Refuse and the next bidder, which would have been Allied, and then Waste Management was the other vendor, and it was about a $6-7 difference, or excuse me, about a $10 difference on theirs. We are recommending that we go with the 7-year agreement, and mainly because the amortization, these trucks cost about $300,000 to $400,000 each, and the advantages we get is through the longer period of time, it allows those trucks to be paid off by the companies that buy them over a longer period. Some of the alternate areas that the mayor basically has talked about, Allen County Refuse is looking to power their fleet of vehicles with compressed natural gas. I think we're all aware of the expansion of the gas supplies throughout the country, the Eastern Ohio fracking gas. This process is also taking place out west also. So the future of gas prices are much more probably predictable than what diesel would be, and I think we all are familiar with that. We see that at the pump every day. Pretty much it changes. The gas prices, because that supply of gas is basically going to be much more stable, which allows a longer-term contract to the benefit of our Lima residences. There are no escalators in this contract for the next 7 years, except for if the EPA or the solid waste districts impose fee structures on the landfills or the districts we operate in, then that then would get passed on. So the companies for 7 years have to basically make that prediction as to what that cost will be. Our current contract prices were set 5 years ago. We had 2 minor adjustments that occurred like in the 2nd year of that agreement, but they've been stable for this period of time, and we would expect that this next 7-year period would also be very, very stable. The current price our residents pay right now is $20.25 per month per unit. In addition to what we pay our contractor, we also have to operate the compost center. There is cost to basically take all the garbage or all the yard waste and basically take it out there and process it. And so that's a tier up, and also as well as we have some costs associated with our overhead in operating the, the garbage and refuse and collection systems involved in that. The other, I guess I will also say is that by no means is this a reflection on Allied Waste System. They have given a superb, service. They really have set the bar that Allen County Refuse is going to have to meet to be satisfactory for this community. I think it's just a matter of the fuel pricing along with some very aggressive landfill tip fees. Allen County Refuse basically got into a landfill down in southeast Ohio, of which the material will be transported to at $29 a ton, compared to close to $50 and $60 a ton that the other vendors basically were proposing in their bid. So I think we've got a very aggressive bid. I think we're going to be able to lower what our ultimate cost is to our residents that we charge. That analysis is underway at this point in time, and probably in the next couple of weeks we'll have that recommendation also out to Lima City Council. We will have the ordinance on Council's agenda for this Monday night, and the Utilities Committee has provided a recommendation to approve this agreement that the full council will review.
Okay, thank you, Gary. A unique opportunity for the community is the fact that in order for them Allen County recyclers to operate and fuel their vehicles with natural gas, they have to construct a natural gas filling station. And their intention is to then make that filling station available to the community. So this is really the first time in Allen County where we're going to have the opportunity for natural gas fuel for vehicles generally. And I think that's an exciting opportunity for all of us to be considering, whether as individuals, if we want to drive a natural gas vehicle, or companies that perhaps want to invest in a natural gas fleet without having to put the money into a filling station. So that's important, and I think a new feature. I also want to just emphasize what Gary had to say about Allied Waste. They have been spectacular in their service over the last 5 years. When we moved from waste management to Allied, we had a real concern about how that transition was going to go. It went flawlessly, and throughout the past 5 years, the service delivery has just been entirely responsive. So if we were able to I guess, base a bidding process on history, Allied would have gotten the bid. But you don't base a bid on history. You base it on the intention and the pricing going forward. And I have to say, this is a huge deal for our community. First of all, it fixes at a lower cost than we're currently paying for the next 7 years delivery of this service to our community. And the price differential between this and the next highest overall was a $4 million difference. So this is not insignificant, and it fixes this critical service to our community at a price that's absolutely very competitive. So I want to acknowledge the work that Gary and his team have done in putting this together and managing the bid process, and we look forward to council taking action on Monday night to enable this to go forward. They need a long lead time in order to order the new equipment and make certain that it's in place to begin service on November 1st. So that's our target date. And I believe that's all. This was a very lengthy press conference today. I believe that's all that we have for today. Thank you all for being here. We'll break down for interviews.